Hello and welcome back to another Cosmic Vibe Check. My name is Rocky, and let's take a look at what's going on in the celestial weather this week and what has been going on for quite a while now as we continue to move through what seems to be a pressure cooker of sorts, really asking us to hone in on, redefine, and reconnect with our purpose. So when we look at our chart and we look at the concept of purpose, our purpose is never really identified as a particular vocation or something outside of ourselves. Ultimately, our true purpose in this life is to become the most authentic, perfected, fully realized version of ourselves. And perfect doesn't mean that we behave perfectly, but really that we behave in accordance with our uniqueness, really our invitation to step into authenticity and self-love is really encoded with our signature and encoded with the protocol of our unique human design strategy and authority. So to respect yourself, to discover who you are, and to walk your path in integrity really requires an understanding of how it is we're designed to make decisions. So if you, again, are not familiar with your human design type, your strategy, your authority, you're always invited to reach out to me for one-on-one time to really explore and dive into not just your unique chart, but also how these planetary themes might be impacting you at this time. So I've spoken for the last, I don't even know how many weeks about this concept of disruption and chaos, which continues to be the overarching theme of the celestial weather at this time. The gate 36, the gate of crisis, which comes off of the emotional center as an abstract, emotional, experiential energy, continues to dominate the discourse as we have three planets, three positions in the chart currently conjunct the exact same gate and the same line of that gate. So we have Saturn, which is sort of sometimes called the Great Punisher. It's the planet that really knocks us over our heads with our biggest lessons, obstacles, challenges that really we must overcome and learn from in order to optimize who it is that we are. We have Venus, which is a planet that sometimes governs our relationships and speaks to our values within our relationships, and the North Node, all conjunct the fifth line of the 36 hexagram. So the fifth line of the Gate of Crisis is keynoted as the underground. It speaks to survival, the ability to endure crisis and to survive when there is perceived or real chaos afoot, both in our personal lives and our relationships, and certainly, as the North Node suggests, in the collective movie that we're watching and that we're stepping into as a collective. So always important to remember that the Gate of Crisis is not here to punish us, but it is here to disrupt us. When we've reached the end of a particular growth cycle, or perhaps when the systems that we've established to maintain order within our society, within our life, within our relationships, within the world are no longer meeting the moment, right? When it's time to grow, the Gate 36 shows up to shake things up, to disrupt those patterns, and to force us into expansion. Expansion is not a direct result of disruption. Of course, overwhelm, chaos, fear can sometimes be a result of disruption, certainly when we're trying to hold on to what it is that life is clearly saying it's time to let go of. But disruption does catalyze us into the next stage, which is this sort of void space, this liminal space where the ground underneath us doesn't necessarily appear or feel solid. Perhaps we are not quite sure where it is we're moving into, but as we look back, we recognize the past, and the foundations perhaps that we've grown reliant upon are no longer there to support us. And so it really forces us to not only establish new foundations, but perhaps establish new ways of finding, operating, and establishing those foundations. And that really, again, is where human design steps in to offer us a unique strategy for how it is that we can stay on our path and walk our dharma, especially when the road does not seem particularly clear, stable, or solid. So one of the most important steps to really realigning with or awakening to our true purpose is to discover what that purpose is not, right? So the things that perhaps we were pursuing, the jobs, the vocations, the relationships, the pursuits that seemed to inform so much of our identity or even contribute to our sense of stability, financial or otherwise, may very well be, and we're seeing this play out, disrupted. And that can throw us into a state of chaos where we're looking for anything to give us a sense of stability as we navigate this kind of uncharted territory. So always important to remember that disruption, chaos, and certainly the archetype of crisis can give way to miracles, right? This is not just a place in the chart where we're punished, but a place where we're asked to renew our faith, to slow down, to let go, to take an honest look at what isn't working anymore, to sit with the feelings of fear that can arise from this, but not necessarily to act impulsively. In the traditional I Ching, the gate of crisis is called the darkening of the light, much like every night when we lay down to go to bed, the sun is gone, it's dark, and we don't run around scrambling trying to figure out how to turn the lights on. We go to sleep, we rest, we let ourselves surrender into that darkness, understanding that when we wake up, the sun will rise again. The ancient yogis, so many ancient traditions, have long worshipped the sun because, of course, before we understood about the planets and the Earth's movement around the sun, it was sort of a daily miracle that the sun would return once more to bring light to the darkness. So I've been imagining this analogy. If you're in a well-lit indoor space at night with a whole bunch of people walking around, say an indoor mall or a food court, and all of a sudden the lights go out and it's dark, what would be the most intelligent or wise approach to take? Would you just run around screaming, trying to find the exit and bump into things and cause even more chaos? Do you get paralyzed by fear and don't move? Or do you slow down, take some deep breaths, and tune into another sense, a sense of feeling, a sense of intuition, a sense of maybe even just refined sight? Let your eyes adjust so that you can navigate that darkness, perhaps at a slower pace till you find the light. So my heart goes out to all of you that may be experiencing disruption in your life at any level. And it's my wish, my hope, my prayer for all of you that you can navigate this time with as much grace as possible. That said, some of the stronger themes that are present on the planet right now, in terms of the sun and the earth, are really supporting us and have been supporting us for the last few weeks in not just tuning into what our purpose and what our next steps are, but perhaps more importantly, how it is that we need to best nurture ourselves as we grow into this new form. Again, the mutation, the transformation that we're all undergoing is not just about how the world looks, but really how it is that we sit within ourselves, how it is we operate as ourselves. Human design offers that we are no longer seven-centered beings that operated through a particular mode, but we are nine-centered. And understanding, again, your strategy and authority, understanding your design is a blueprint to help you navigate life as this upgraded form that we all now embody and have for some time. We've just never really been taught how to do so. So we are on the fourth day of the 6-day transit where the sun highlights the gate 27. Gate 27 is often referred to as the gate of the caretaker. In quantum human design, it's called the gate of accountability. It's a sacral gate. It's part of the defense circuit. So it's a tribal gate that's really about the nurturing, the sustenance, and the growth of the tribe, of the family, of the community. It's one thing to create people, right? That's one half of the defense circuit, reproduction. It's another thing to be able to nurture and feed and sustain a life that you create so that it can grow to full maturity. And so the theme of this week, and really of last week as well, has really been asking us to tune into what it is that we need to nurture, how it is we need to better nurture ourselves so that we can be accountable to our dream, so that we can be in alignment with our values, which may be undergoing a bit of a shift as well right now. And also how it is, when it is appropriate for us to extend that nurturing and that care to others. All sacral gates operate through response, through usually a yes or no response based on availability. So if somebody comes to you asking for help, in a sense, what they're asking is, are you available to help me? Or do you have what it takes to support me in this moment? And when we answer from our mind, we might be very conditioned to self-sacrifice, to put aside our own needs to help the other in the name of being virtuous, in the name of being a good human, but to really tune into our sacral authority, if that is your authority, and to ask yourself, am I available to this? The answer may very well be, I'm not. And that could be for a number of reasons. It could be that you don't possess the necessary skills to adequately nurture what's being asked of you. Maybe there's somebody better fit for the job, or maybe the person that's asking, or maybe even not asking, that you are perceiving as needing your help doesn't need your help after all. Maybe they are accountable and self-reliant enough to take care of themselves, and your help would only further disempower them to do so. So this is a gate that really wants to say yes to nurture and tend to others, but first needs to make sure that its own cup is adequately full. So really wonderful week, as always, to feel all the chaos, all the disruption present in the air, and some other themes as well that might be pointing us to potential leaps of faith in the near future, or adventures we might go on to connect us with our purpose, but also to really tune into how it is we can sustainably grow and expand into our purpose, into ourselves, in a way that doesn't dysregulate, doesn't deplete, and doesn't disrespect what it is that we need to stay healthy, to stay strong, to stay in alignment. The Earth this week is highlighted by the gate 28, which is called the gate of adventure. Sometimes it's called the gate of struggle. In the traditional I Ching, it's called the gate of the great game player. It's this kind of archetype. Imagine that you're playing a video game and you are like a RPG role-playing, was it role-playing game? I don't know. But if you're playing like a game where you as the main character are on this adventure, what happens in that game is that if you get shot at or if you perish for whatever reason in the game is over. So we engage in the game, understand that it's a game, but that we have a finite amount of time and there are stakes involved that could cause us to extinguish before we really reached the potential. So in that example, our soul, our spirit, is the game player, and this life in this form is the game that we're playing as ourselves. And so this is a gate, an instinctive gate, that really tunes us into the opportunities, the risks, the adventures that we might say yes to, or that we might go on that game, so that we can make the most of the time that we have and connect with our purpose. It's also a fear-based gate, as are all splenic intuitive gates. And it's most notably the fear of death. It's that hyper-vigilance sometimes, or awareness of the challenge that's in front of us. And if that challenge is going to make the best use of our time here on Earth, if that challenge might potentially lead to danger for us, and ultimately if that challenge is worth the risk because it's going to connect us with something meaningful. So this really is a gate that asks us to tune into what are we willing to fight for? What is worth fighting for? And conversely, what struggle are just not worth it? What are we really doing here while we're embodied in this form? Are we struggling for things that don't matter, to be right, to get more followers, to win everybody's approval? Or are we fighting for something that is much more meaningful? Ultimately, again, fighting for us to emerge as our most authentic, individuated self. So the combo platter of the gate 27 and the gate 28 is asking us, what is worth fighting for? And how can you sustain and nurture yourself so that you can have what it takes to press ahead in a way that is satisfying, right? In a way that doesn't deplete from you or others, but in a way that contributes to life and our love of being alive, right? That the gate 28 as a fear gate can be the fear of death. It can also be the fear of not living, or living in such a way that we never actually connect with our purpose. So be gentle with yourself as we move through these energies, as always, because there's a lot getting disrupted, showing us what doesn't work, what consequences might be in store for us, whether or not we act according to our design. Collectively, there are a lot of things changing. A lot of those things can be scary, and we're being asked to really tune into our ability to first survive and move through these changes in a way that doesn't result in our death or result in our premature exit from this life, but ultimately in a way that allows us to thrive. And so to thrive in an ever-changing world means our values may need to shift, or we may need to return to or remember or refresh what really matters to us. I'm a sacral generator. People ask me all the time, what do you want? And my mind will come up with all types of things about what it is that I think I want. But ultimately, underneath all of those imaginings is that I want to be fulfilled. I want to feel satisfied. I want to connect with people. I want to eat good food. I want to dance. I want to explore this world. I want to have meaningful adventures where I can share my gifts. the essence of what we want might not look like what we think it needs to look like in order for us to receive it. But when we can really tune into those values of what's important to us, stay in alignment with who we are, and be willing to let go of that which is no longer working, even if that means moving temporarily into this sort of liminal space, this void space. Ultimately, expansion does occur. Evolution does happen. We are evolving. Might not be happening in the way that we would prefer, might not be happening on the timeline that we might prefer, but this is what evolution looks like, and something new is emerging. It's evidenced all over, not just the chart, but if you're paying attention to the conversations that are happening, the realignment that's happening across this world. And you play a valuable role, a valuable part of that evolution and that realignment. I'll also just share as an aside, because of the way these planets are showing up right now, that within our personal relationships, this may be a little bit of a prickly time if we are out of alignment in terms of the shared values within our partnerships. And so also a good time to have those conversations from a place of compassion to really get clear on and dial in on, are we in alignment in terms of what's important to us, whether that's in a romantic partnership, a business partnership. I've certainly been having lots of those conversations with people on my team and people in my personal life, and just getting clear on what really matters. What are we really fighting for here? And is it worth it? And if it's not, how can we tune into perhaps a bigger vision, a bigger purpose, a bigger dream that motivates and inspires us to actually put in the work, to grow, to nurture, to disrupt, and to establish new ways of operating that are in the highest good of all concerned. So I'm going to leave you with that for now. We have a transit shift in a few days, so I'll be back, I'm sure, before too long with something new. All right, be well. Peace.